Hi, I'm Les, Adult Programming Librarian at Jessamine County Public Library. Today, we're going to make a rolling seat for your patio out of a tire. For the base of your project, you need an old tire, some hardwood plywood, construction adhesive, a skill saw and sandpaper and goggles, some primer, some spray paint, and if you like, 4 wheels to mount on the bottom with some screws and an electric screwdriver. Use a skill saw to cut a circle of plywood that's just big enough to fill the center of your tire. Make sure your plywood is made out of something fairly durable. This is a hardwood plywood. It's not composite and it's not a cardboard plywood. Something decent. We're going to go ahead and coat it in a primer afterwards and spray paint so that it will be able to take a little bit of getting wet without warping too badly. Once you've cut your circle, you'll want to take a rough sanding sponge and go around the edges, smooth them off, and make sure you don't get any splinters. Now, you'll have a choice today. You may want to sit your tire directly on the ground, in which case you only need 1 circle of plywood. You might want to mount your tire onto a set of casters or wheels so that you can roll it around and keep it on your patio. And in that case, you're going to want 2 pieces of plywood. So decide first whether or not your tire is going to sit directly on the ground or on top of another tire, or whether it's going to go on some wheels so that it can roll around the patio easily. Next, we'll go ahead and give our 2 circles a quick coat of primer. I'm using this 1-2-3 primer. I decided to go ahead and put a coat of primer on my tire as well. I have a light blue paint, so I think it'll go on more evenly over white, and it might help it stick and stay on the tire better as well. When the primer on both your plywood circle and your tire have dried, we're going to attach the plywood circle to the tire using construction adhesive. It comes in a tube like this. You'll need one of these devices to get it out, and you're gonna squeeze it all along the edge of your circle. And then seat it down in your tire and press until you see it kind of leak out the sides a little bit. Once your construction adhesive has dried, it's time for the spray paint. Now we'll let that dry while we create a bottom with casters so that our seat can roll around our deck. In order to put casters on the bottom of your tire seat, you'll need to take your second circle of plywood and paint it and glue it just as you did the top circle. I found this old plant cart that my grandma has given me. It has a wood base with casters on it already, but you can purchase casters separately and they have a place to screw them right down to the wood. So you can either screw your casters on directly to your circle of plywood, or if you want to lift them off of the plywood a little bit, you can first screw down a wooden base and put your casters on top of that. It's up to you, and it doesn't really make any difference. But all we'll do is screw our base or our casters directly to the plywood. And now you're ready to go. For the cushion of your tire, you'll need some waterproof or water-resistant fabric, scissors, needle and thread, pins, foam or batting to fill your seat, Velcro, and a sewing machine. To make the pattern for the cushion, just take a Sharpie and trace around your tire. In order to make our cushion for our tire seat, we'll need 2 pieces of fabric cut into a circle that's big enough to fit over the top of your tire. And you'll need 1 strip of fabric wide enough for whatever foam you use as your seat filling, and long enough to go around the circumference of your circle. First thing we'll do is sew our strip of fabric into a circle. So we're just going to run a single line right down here and have a circle of fabric. So we've sewn our strip of fabric so that it's now a loop. And then we're going to take some straight pins and pin it around the edge of one of our circles. You'll notice I put my pins this direction, that way I can run over the top of them with the sewing machine. Once you've pinned all around the top, then we're going to run a seam around this edge with about a 1/4 inch selvage on it. Now we've created a lid that fits nicely over our foam. Before we sew the bottom onto our lid, I've got it inside out right now in preparation for sewing on the bottom. We're going to take the other piece, and on the right side of the fabric, we're going to sew long strips of Velcro. It doesn't matter exactly what size, and kind of center them. We'll use the soft fuzzy side to sew onto here, and we will use construction adhesive to put the hook stiff side of the Velcro onto the wooden circle on top of our tire. That way, when we put our seat on, it stays stuck. Once you've sewn your 2 pieces of Velcro onto your other circle, flip it and pin your second circle to the other edge of your strip of fabric. This time, when we sew it together, we're going to leave about a 12-inch gap so that we can stuff our foam into our seat. Now you have both of your circles sewn together around your strip with a foot gap. Let's turn it right side out. And we need to stuff our foam into our pad. Once you have your piece completely stuffed in the way that you like it, then we're just going to take a needle and thread and we're going to hand sew this last seam together. So I'll fold the raw seams in. We're going to pull the knot on the end of our thread into the inside, and I'm going to whip stitch it. You might see this seam a little bit, but it is on the bottom and it won't be too noticeable. Now we have our finished seat cushion with some Velcro for adhering it to the tire. Let's go put it on the tire. The last step in creating our tire seat is to glue the hard loop portion of your Velcro to your plywood circle on top of your tire. Now in order to do that so that when it dries you can peel the seat off of the Velcro, we're just going to run a really small amount of construction adhesive on the back of that Velcro. We want to make sure that it does not ooze out the sides so that when we put it down it doesn't get all over the tire seat itself and stick the entire seat to the plywood instead of just the Velcro. So smoothing it on with your finger will work. You might want to wear plastic gloves. I couldn't find mine. Alright, you've got a nice smooth layer. Pop that down, and you might even have to sit on it to get it to sit just right over the top of your seat. Then you'll let that dry before you ever peel your seat off with the Velcro. The Velcro's on there not only so that the seat stays on the tire, but also if it's going to rain or you want to wash your seat or something, then you can just peel it off and throw it in the washer. Here we have our CAT approved finished tire seat.